to life.
He still takes the field? Yep. Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so gotta be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkers. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. Welcome to All-Star Weekend at Dover? Sure, why not? It might as well just be a full race. I don't know why they didn't just do 400 laps and call it whatever, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. I mean, at least the format seems to be kind of interesting. If you happen to watch qualifying, that actually was quite entertaining. I would actually like to see qualifying like that every week at every track. I think it would add it would bring the entire team all into one, and it would show the driver's capabilities of pit crews, the spotter, all of the things. So I actually would like to see that on a weekly basis, to be perfectly honest. But that's just my thought process. I think it'd be cool to have everyone involved in qualifying. But it does take quite a long time to get that done. I did like the fact that we had, 90 minutes of practice and 2 sets of tires, and we got to see a ton of different laps and different things go on. So very, very interesting. But we are at Dover for the All-Star race. And Andrew, another top 10 DFS finish. Can't take them down. You finished in the top 10, but you didn't take the top prize. I think I get what you're putting down there. Well, I mean, either way, that got your money back. That's probably good. In fact, that probably, even if you did multiple lineups, that probably covered you. But I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Did at least cover your entries to if you were playing multiple lineups? And no, it's extremely difficult to win. I think God, at this point I've lost count of how many years I've been doing this, but I think taking double your money. Okay, I mean that's in NASCAR DFS. That is a big win. I broke even today and lost a shitload on the trucks. Trucks did not go well, but I mean that's part of the game. Is you play and you keep digging and you keep figuring out what you did wrong or what you did right, and keep putting the pieces together. You'll get a takedown. It's just so hard. I mean, I think. I'm sorry. I was watching the Virginia Tech women's softball. They were down 6-1 going into the last inning and scored 6 runs to take the lead 7-6, and ended up winning at the end. I lived in Blacksburg and around Virginia Tech pretty much all my life, but now live in the Richmond area. So always fun to watch the Hokies play whatever sport they're playing, and good to see the Lady Hokies pull off a win. But back to NASCAR. It's so tough to take down a first place in a big field tournament. Everything has to work just perfectly. But either way, if you are new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And also, we now have the Discord up and running. It's still a massive work in progress. So if you do join, we'd love to have you. Make sure you join. The link is in the description below. And I'm trying my best to get my bot to behave, but it's almost like wrestling a pig in mud, which is almost near impossible. That's the way I feel sometimes, most nights, trying to learn what my AI is capable of doing, what it's not capable of doing, what it's capable of posting, and the limits are the different limits that you hit playing with AI. Like, I like to have it scrape for NASCAR on Twitter/X, and after a week it hit API limits, and I was like, no, it's on the browser. Just go search, just go scroll the browser. All I want you to do is look at 5 accounts. I don't know. Either way, so it's a work in progress. We're getting there. I did finally get it to. This one actually came through Anthropic. Let me pull it up real quick. So I had taken. So what my AI does is it goes and gets the transcript for all of the different podcast/YouTube feeds from the week. The Teardown, Eric Estep's, Dale Jr. Download, Actions Detrimental, Door Bumper Clear. The NASCAR has a couple of ones that they do. And then, of course, it does also mine. But I have it do a full summary of each one of those, which gives me kind of a really good being able to remember what happened the last time we were at a certain track. Like, I can't really remember what happened at Dover last year without going back and watch the race. Do I have any of my AIs doing the coding? Yeah, the Claude Code can do coding. I don't have it really doing a whole lot of coding work per se, because I'm not really building any apps and those types of things. I know it has a capable. It's much more. It's the schedules and skills that it's doing, and those types of things. What's up, Kryptonian? Good to see you tonight. But either way, so what I did was I had it go and pull the summary or markdown for all the videos from Watkins Glen. And then I told it to make a newsletter, blog post type thing that would be like either website or if you were printing the newspaper or whatever. And it posted it, and I'll pull it up. Let me see. Here it is. I hadn't downloaded on this computer. This one's different. And this looks a little different than what I actually came up with. But it goes through all of the different things. It goes through all the quotes and everything and gives me a full picture within about 4 or 5 pages. And then it does the look ahead, incidents and controversies from last week, the point penalty from Ryan Preece, and he's appealing. It also goes through the truck and Xfinity a little bit too. Talks about the All-Star race, but it's kind of cool that it can take all that information and then break it all down. And I post that also on the Discord channel, so that's out there also for you to look at. Yay, Kryptonian! I said it right. Finally, I don't know how many times I may have tried it. I think I've gotten it right a couple of times before. But either way, we are at Dover for the All-Star race. Andrew, you think that trying to take down a tournament on normal race weekends is hard? Go and try to figure out how to play DFS in the world of 3D, 4D type of chess maneuvers, because that's what this week is. Not only do we have an issue with who do we actually start that will actually still be in the race halfway through, because they cut the field down from 36 to 26. So there'll be 10 drivers who don't make it. And if your driver is locked in, let's say it's Denny Hamlin, who has the pole, is phenomenal at Dover. Well, if he ends up having an issue in the first half of the race and can't continue, well, they just put in another open driver into his spot. It's the different levels of complexity that are going to be in and around everything is just crazy for this weekend. I started kind of thinking about how to build out lineups, and it's yeah. And then there's the inversion after stage 1 going into stage 2. Lucky enough they don't invert the field again going into the final stage, but either way, so let's look at that. Actually, the all-star format, it's a full field start, segments 1 and 2. Each segment is 75 laps. All right, we already got the qualifying done. The top 26 from segment 1. So whoever finishes in the top 26 will get inverted for segment 2. Well, it's going to really suck if you were 27th, because you're going to stay in 27th, where if you'd been one spot better, you would have gotten up front for the second stage. Also, if Denny Hamlin, who's really good at Dover, let's say he goes and leads the first 75 laps. Well, they're going to put him back in 26th place to start segment 2. Well, now you're back in the muck, and you're back with all of the guys who were just driving their butts off to make it to the final segment and into the actual all-star race. It's the complexity that's going on is can be mind-boggling, to say the least. But either way, the remaining drivers will line up by the finish for segment 2. Lowest combined. Then the way we start segment 3 is we take what you did in segment 1 and segment 2, average it, and that's where you'll start. Oh, it's and the whole. Then we go back to, how does Draftkings score all this? Well, it's literally, were they qualified in today's qualifying session is their starting spot. And if they are not an open driver, so they have a spot in the all-star race. So like a Kyle Larson, who was starting back in 28th, 29th, something like that. Let's say he wrecks lap 5 of the race tomorrow, which would put him 36, but because he's one of the all-star drivers, the worst he can be is 26. But they're going to put in another driver. I don't know how they're going to score that. I'm trying to figure it out. And if you came here for me to tell you how it's going to be done, I don't have a clue. But either way, so like Eric Jones is somebody that I will touch Eric Jones as much as I touch Cody Ware this weekend, which is 0. Because Eric Jones is trying to battle his way into this race, but he's starting from the 3rd position, which gives him a great starting spot to get into the final segment. But the problem is, he'll always have the 3rd starting spot as far as Draftkings is concerned. And unless you think Eric Jones is going to go lead 75 laps at the beginning and make it into the final round, and then probably finish top 5, there's no reason to take Eric Jones. It's almost impossible for Eric Jones, at least in the world of DFS, to be a viable driver to take. It's the different mechanisms that go on in this is almost a little mind-boggling, to say the least. But that's the All-Star format. That's how DraftKings is going to score this. And yeah, good luck. Either way, somebody who did not need any luck and all skill was SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, last week at Watkins Glen, who I'd been thinking for a long time that these tracks that SVG is good at, that he was running at 80%. Freebird. This week I'm just playing real light and putting And yeah, yeah, and that's probably not a bad strategy, to be perfectly honest, because it's even more random than what we're going to see at a super speedway on how you build this lineup. The crazy thing is be to see if there's any matching lineups that take down the top prize. I don't think it will be. There's too many variables. And it's one big commercial. Yeah, that too. Luckily, I tell you what, if the guys, the producers from Fox that do the NFL could ever go and do NASCAR, we'd actually probably have a pretty good product. But Fox NASCAR, I'm so glad this is the last race until next year. They do a great job with Daytona, but they're just a complete mess. I just I don't get it anymore. Like, I like Kevin Harvick. I like all of the on-air personalities, but the production is just awful. Where the CW for the O'Reilly series knocks it out of the park. And if you want even worse, go watch the truck race. It's even worse. But either way, this is the last one, and we head to Prime. Oh, I'm so thankful for Prime and TNT, but they both do a much better job, and NBC does okay. We'll see what NBC comes up with this year, but Prime last year was phenomenal for the 5 races that they had. I can't wait to get back to it. But SVG at the Glen, I was like, he's pitting with how many laps? And how far back is he? I don't know. I know he's fast. I know he's good, but I don't know if you can make it back up. Sure enough, he made it back up and still won by 7 seconds. What an absolute clinic SVG put on the field. And Dale Jr. was right from his podcast. You could give every driver out there all the data, all the video. You could even have SVG in the cockpit with them, telling them what they're doing right and wrong, and they'd still never figure out what SVG does to make that car go fast. I just do not see. The only one that it potentially could come up with anything is going to be Connor Zilic. Once Connor Zilic gets the full feel of the Cup car down, it's it's unreal, and I don't know why guys like Jordan Bianchi go, well, I'm still on the fence on whether SVG's the best that's ever raced on road courses in the NASCAR series. There's, in my opinion, at this point, there's not even a question. I know Tim Richmond back in the day was really good, but and there were other ones who have been good at road courses. I mean, Mark Martin was good at them. Jeff Gordon was good at them. Nobody has had car control and the ability to do what Shane SVG does. Either way, let's look at the optimal lineups, and boy, did I get a couple of these really wrong. I would have, there was no way I thought that, I mean, the issue was that SVG just was so dominant that Michael McDowell could still start second, finish second, and lead 5 laps and make the optimal lineup. I just thought it was going to be SVG, and the rest of it was going to be place differential, because that was the only way it's going to fit, and we'd have some cheaper drivers. But how about the Zane Smith call? I mean, he got 40 points. That, if you had swapped out Zane Smith with Ryan Preece, you would have still ended up finishing really, really well. I'm not sure why R. Stanley made a post and then got rid of it. Okay, either way, I didn't see it until just now. But I didn't see what you posted. But yeah, I definitely got the Michael McDowell call wrong. Now, I played Michael McDowell. I just didn't play Michael McDowell with SVG. I thought it would be Michael McDowell would do really well. SVG would have an issue, and Michael McDowell would end up leading a bunch of laps and winning the race. That part I had correct. I just didn't put the two of them together. I was just like, no way, not going to happen. But it did. And That's why it's really hard to take down these tournaments sometimes. Do the 10 get cut at the end of the second segment? So they'll all 36 will race the first segment. They'll take the 26 top drivers, invert them. So first they'll go to 26, 26 will go to first for segment 2, still having 36 drivers on the track. They'll race for 75 more laps. At the end of that, they'll take the average. So let's say Denny Hamlin finishes in first in segment 1, but then finishes 20th in segment 2. Well, the average between those two is 10th. So he'll start in 10th. Or not necessarily 10th, because what they'll do is they'll take the average, and whoever has the lowest average would then get the pole to start the 200 lap shootout for stage 3. So if nobody else, let's say Denny Hamlin does finish first in the first stage and 10th or 20th in the second stage, his average is 10. If nobody else has an average better than 10, then Denny Hamlin would then go back to the front. So everybody's going to have to get out their calculators and their abacuses and get their 7th grader out and be like, help me figure out the average on where these people start. Luckily enough, TV should do a good job with it. If not, go to Twitter X and look, because who knows what Fox may come up with. But either way, that's how it's going to happen. And then the last stage, the third stage, 200 laps, is with just the 26 drivers. So, and it's going to be 19 drivers that are locked in. 17 of those earned it from a win in either 2025 or this year. 2 drivers, Kyle Busch and another driver who was a champion who got in. Oh, Joey won last year, I think. Yeah, Joey won last year. Either way, there's 19 drivers that are locked. There's 1 fan vote. That takes it to 20. So 6 drivers get in on speed. Now we got to figure out which of those 6 drivers should get in on speed. And one of the drivers, I don't care if they get in or not, I'm still not taking him. Eric Jones. So Eric Jones is off my list, regardless of whether he makes it or not. There are other drivers that I will just be like, nope, I'm not going to even put any of them in the lineup. One of them I do every week. Cody Ware. All right, so our optimal lineup challenge after 12 races, a third of the way through the season. Ty Gibbs with 7, up 2 over Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, and Denny Hamlin with 5. Yeah, because this is such a long race, I don't know if I'll have the optimal lineup from this race next week, but I don't know if it should go into the lineup challenge. I usually don't put it into the lineup challenge when it's been the other style of the way they used to do the All-Star race, which was at North Wilkesboro and the rest of them, where they'd have an open segment and just the top 2 drivers would get in. I don't know. I probably won't include that into here, but I'll have definitely these 2 to see who, what, when, where, how. All right, let's talk about Dover, because we got a lot to talk about for this race. And I'm sure you guys and girls may or may not have lots of questions. But either way, once again, if you're new here or haven't done it yet, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'm 1 away from 200, which would be great and phenomenal. It's not the only reason I do it, but it is kind of a fun thing to get to, certain milestones with the YouTube algorithm and that type of stuff. So also make sure you join the Discord. It is a work in progress, so please bear with me while I'm beginning to build that out, but it's starting to come around. And if I can get the AI to cooperate more, it will start to be built out faster. I do like the logo. It does look pretty cool. I do like Miles the Monster. He's actually one of the better mascots in NASCAR. But either way, this is Dover, Delaware. It is a 1 mile in length concrete track, very similar to Bristol. It's high banked, but it's just like double the size of Bristol. Speeds are extremely high. Banking is at 24 degrees. I think Bristol's at 28 or 32, if I remember correctly. Almost as banked as Bristol. We're going 350 laps. We're doing 2 segments of 75 and then 1 long run for 200 laps. The fuel mileage will probably not be a problem because the tire wear will probably end up biting them in the backside. But if they're able to make a full fuel run, it's about 90 to 95 laps. So they would need to stop at least twice in the final stage. So that honestly is going to kind of put some different strategies out there if we stay green. I see this being an absolute S show by the end of it. If qualifying was any indication of how temperamental the next gen car is, because you also have to remember they're running the short track package. So less downforce, less rear spoiler. They took the downforce from the bottom of the car, so the undercarriage of the car. They've added 750 horsepower. The tires that they've got currently are very similar to what they've run at Kansas and those types of places. So the tire wear is going to be pretty significant. They put PJ1 down on the track, which is pretty much at this point almost gone. I don't know if they're going to reapply it by tomorrow or not. I kind of hope they don't. But all those variables, whatever we kind of know of Dover, and because this is such a unique style that they're going to go with this year, I honestly don't really know exactly how to tell you to build out these lineups, other than I've got how I'm going to go about building it out. But you could easily go completely different directions, and you might be wrong, and I might be right, and both of us might be right at the end of the day. Either way, other tracks to compare to, even though none of them do what we're about ready to do tomorrow, Bristol, Darlington, Nashville, Martinsville are all tracks that we can kind of compare to. Dover is its own unique track. I mean, Bristol is half the size, but concrete, high banked. Nashville, concrete, not as high banked, but does race a little bit like a short track. And Dover ends up racing a little bit like a short track. Then you've got Martinsville, which is concrete in the corners, but half the size. So these are the ones that are the closest to Dover, but honestly, really, probably the most close is Bristol. It's just shrunk by half. And because we're running 350 laps instead of 400 laps, it is going to change the point totals by 50. But I also do not think we... because the nice thing is you're going to be able to figure out what your car needs and doesn't need for speed. But the problem is also everybody else is going to figure that out also. So for somebody to go out and dominate in stage 3 is a little tougher. And because they're going to have to stop at least twice in that stage, strategies will come into play. And when strategies start to come into play, you end up having different people who lead laps, have fast laps, and those types of things. So having a true dominator like a Chase Elliott led 238 of the 407 laps last year at Dover, I think we'll see some small domination, but I think it's going to be much more of a driver's going to go lead 50 to 60 laps, which is still not quite a full domination, but it's there. And then the fast laps will kind of get spread out amongst everyone because of these different stages. Yeah, I don't I'm not really looking at a full-on domination. It's who could potentially, like a Denny Hamlin is going to start up front. Denny Hamlin's really good here. I expect him to potentially lead the first part of stage 1. Now, they can make it on a full fuel run, but does Denny Hamlin want to make it on a full fuel run just to be inverted to 26th? Or do you potentially... The problem is, if you're trying to go and have a 20 to 26th place finish after stage 1, you risk potentially being 27th or worse, and then you're starting way in the back for stage 2, which may not be that big of a deal because you'd survive to get to stage 3 because you're already locked in. So you're going to have drivers that will be like, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to fall in the back. I'm going to let these yahoos do what yahoos do and tear up their equipment. And I'm going to run 5 seconds behind everybody. And I'm going to get my car set up and right for the final stage, even if he starts 26th in that stage. I don't know. There's so many different variables that you could on how a driver and a team goes about getting, if you're locked in, how you race stage 3, because there is nothing else but winning. It's $1 million to winner. The entire purse is something like 2.6 million. So more than a third, almost half of the purse goes to the winner. So it's go win. That's it. There's no points. It's just money. And how do you figure out how to go win? And then how do we build lineups around the different thought processes? It's all over the place. So looking at past optimal lineups, yeah, we can look to see who's good here, who's not good here. We can look at finishing positions. We can look at all those things. But how do we end up building that lineup out? I mean, if you're playing in a cash lineup, which is real small field, it's the 50-50s, it's the double ups, or the really small field tournaments, I honestly think you build this strictly as a cash lineup and you almost just take the guys that are locked into the race. Because that ensures all 6 of your drivers are there for the last stage. And as far as the point totals go, I mean, most of your expensive drivers are hitting in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then everybody else is in 32.9 for Justin Haley at the Dover 2024 race. Ty Gibbs or Austin Dillon with 38.25 made the optimal lineup. Yeah, I mean, when we look at this, the 15-point total is 31.5. And we've got drivers who are making it in at 37.3 and 32.9, 38.25. Heck, we had 2 drivers that were below 40 that made the optimal lineups in 2024 because the 3 expensive guys all led laps, all finished 1, 2, 3. I mean, Justin Haley finishing 23rd in 2024 made the optimal lineup because he was $5,400. 3 drivers under $5,600. Dover by itself is a unique track to figure out. Now we're throwing all sorts of different scenarios into this mix. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be it's going to take a lot to figure out who, what, and when, or who and what you put into lineups. We're going to try to decipher it before the night's out. And I'm not even sure that that's much of a guarantee for anybody. So over here are my ranking systems. And I literally just built the ranking systems off of normally what I normally do. And usually they fall, for the most part, pretty close. There's always a couple of anomalies out there. But The green highlights are the drivers who are locked in. The starting positions 1 through 5, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, and Ross Chastain are starting 1, 2, 5, and 4. Eric Jones, who is not locked in, is starting 3rd. He is the only driver not locked in that's starting in the top 10. Also, the reason why I'm really not that interested in taking Eric Jones, because I don't expect Eric Jones to go up and lead a bunch of laps from Denny Hamlin unless Denny Hamlin ends up having a different strategy for this race and being there at the last stage and trying to win it. I don't foresee that with Denny Hamlin. He's going to probably try to go out and lead as many laps as he can and just stay out of everybody's way. Then in the back here, Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, Joe Logano. Those are the rest that are starting 6th through 10th. Well, since they're going to invert the field and they're going to flip-flop things around, they're not really great place differential plays. But they could. Austin Cindric had great practice speeds. Could Austin Cindric end up getting some Dominator points? I don't know. I mean, Dominator points, because they're locked into the race and they're going to be there. Chase Elliott starting in 31st. Ryan Blaney starting 28th. Kyle Larson's 29th. The problem is you could take those 3, but the only way to take those 3 and build lineups is you're now taking 3 drivers who are not locked into the race. And if they're not in the top 6 of those open drivers, then they're going to finish 26th or worse, and your lineup screwed, regardless of what Blaney, Larson, and Elliott do. So you could take what appears to be great place differential plays, but to do that, it's so expensive. You're going to have to get to for a quick example. Oops, this didn't do right. Let me fix this. You take an Alex Bowman. Well, he's 8,300. You take a yeah, that's right. You take a Chris Buescher, who's not locked in, and let's say he has trouble in stage 2. But he's a great place differential play. He should be one of the drivers that ends up making it in, or Daniel Suarez should make it into the final round. But if they have any type of issues and they don't finish the 20 to 26 spot, then they're going to finish 28th, 29th, 30th, and there is no place differential. Even though they appear to be great place differentials on paper, there's no guarantee they even make it to the final stage. R. Stanley says, well, if all racers are in 2 stages, they will get points. Well, sure, Cody Ware's going to end up getting points, even though he's starting 35th, and he may just finish 35th. There are points for 35th place with DraftKings. How will Andrew wants to know, how will the lock work? Will it be after we know who advances? You talking about the DraftKings lock? No, DraftKings lock is at 12:55, 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'm looking right now when the lock is 1:03 Eastern Time, which is when the race goes green, is when the lock happens. Yeah, that's the crazy thing is before, like last year's All-Star race, the lock wouldn't happen until after the Open. So you could go and put in, like Noah Gragson has been the fan vote for the last 2 or 3 years. And he would start last in the field. He was a great place differential play, even if he only went from like 25th up to like 17th, because he was always so cheap. He made it in, You got the points. You took a Kyle Larson or somebody like that who would go out and lead a bunch of laps and do whatever in the All-Star race. But you would just start the 2 or 3 guys that either raced their way in or had the fan vote in. But no, this time around, we're locked. And if a driver doesn't make it, a driver doesn't make it. He gets whatever position he kind of finished in. So, for example, Noah Gragson starting 13th. Pretty good chance that he can race his way into the last 200 laps. But if Noah Gragson has an issue or problem or gets passed and ends up finishing 28th, he can't race stage 2. He's locked in at 28th. Well, 13th to 28th, that's not going to work. That's why I say Eric Jones, there's no way I'm touching Eric Jones. I'm not even really probably going to touch Noah Gragson or Ty Dillon, to be perfectly honest. Or probably even Alex Bowman. They're not locked into the field. They're going to start stage 3, the 200-lap final race, behind the other 19 drivers, as far as I know. That part I'm a little unsure of. So I don't know if Alex Bowman, who starts 12th, if he, let's say he races and finishes stage 1 in 10th, and then can go back out and finish in, let's say he wins stage 2. Well, his average would be 5. Well, if he's got the best average, but he's not locked in, does he get the 20th starting spot or does he get the first starting spot? That part I'm a little unsure on. But either way, Alex Bowman's going to have a tough time, in my opinion, being somebody I want to play because I don't know if he's guaranteed to be in. He starts 12th. Let's say he has a flat tire in the middle of stage 2 and ends up finishing in 35th or 34th or 33rd. The average is, even if he finishes first, I'm not sure he makes it into the last stage. Let's see. Does it say who's locked in? All right. The final segment consists of 26 drivers, 25-26 NASCAR Cup Series winners, 1 fan vote winner, a past series champion, and all-star winners competing full-time. The remaining drivers based on combined finishing positions of segment 1 and 2. So that sounds like it's the average. Like I said, we're going to literally have to I'm going to have to borrow my kid's scientific calculator to figure out who potentially makes it into this thing. It's crazy. Gragson always gets voted for the fan vote. Yes, he has. And I think he still does, at least this year, but he's going to have a real stiff competition with Connor Zilic. Just being at the track, even though at Martinsville, when I was on Noah's box and I hung out with Noah pre-race, good thing that Carson Hocevar won a race because he doesn't need the fan vote anymore. Because I think Carson Hocevar would have beat Noah Gragson for the fan vote. I think the fan vote competition is probably going to be between either Noah or Zilic. And I think Noah still probably edges them out. But if Noah doesn't start running better, he's going to have a tough time getting that in the future. All right, so drivers that are locked in, that I like and that my algorithm likes because of their past finishes, their practice speeds, place differential, all those things went into play, and it figures out who is the best. And there's a lot of weight that is put on the starting position because of the place differential. Like Ryan Blaney, Larson, and Elliott are all guaranteed positive place differential because the worst they can finish is 26. So right out of the gate, Ryan Blaney has 2 spots of place differential, and he'll finish 26. Now, I think Ryan Blaney should improve on from that, but that's where, as far as I can tell, everything I've looked at, that's where that should happen. The problem is, you don't want to spend $30,700 on 3 drivers when you got to put 3 more drivers in, and you have less than 20,000 left for 3 drivers. It does not go very well. I mean, you're looking at what, $6,700 left over, and you're not guaranteeing any of those drivers actually make it in. In fact, I tried this earlier and looked at it earlier. So if you take, what did I say, Larson, Blaney, and Elliott, leaves you 19,300. Well, the guys, the cheapest that's locked in, you can put an Austin Dillon at 6,300, an SVG starting in 18th at 6,500. Now you have to pick somebody who's not locked in, which is fine. There are drivers that should get themselves into the race because of just their skill, but there's no guarantee of that. So you can't just stack Larson, Blaney, Elliott and get in because you don't have enough room. And do you really want to take SVG at Dover? I don't. Austin Dillon, maybe, but he's starting 17th. It gets really, really tough. And then, the next best one would be Hocevar in 24th. Now you have 11,600. Now you're putting 2 drivers. You can put Austin Dillon in, but now you have $5,300 left over. That leaves you with a Cole Custer starting in 22nd, or Ty Dillon, or Cody Ware. So if you try to stack those 3 drivers together, which would normally be a really good play, you're saying, I absolutely do not think there's going to be a dominator for stage 3. And I'm going to take drivers that aren't necessarily locked in to the field. Yeah, that's where this whole thing becomes a real Rubik's Cube, Sudoku, head scratcher, 3D, 4D chess type of play where you need a really big abacus to figure it all out. Now the guys that need to race in, some people have way too good of a starting spot. And do you take Noah Gragson, who Stanley says should probably get the fan vote? And I agree with our Stanley. He probably has the edge on getting the fan vote. Now the question is, let's say he races in. Who's the other fan vote? Let's say, I would think that's Connor Zillich. But if Connor Zillich races his way in, what's the third? Is that Bowman, Busher, Priest, Zane? I don't know. Because there's six drivers that are going to race their way in. If one of those 6 drivers are the fan vote, it just goes to the next person in the fan vote. They're going to start 26 drivers for stage 3, as long as there's 26 cars still able to race. Stanley says, I'm taking a chance on Busher, Priest, Suarez. Are you going to put, putting all 4 of those in one lineup together? I mean, you do you, but I don't recommend taking 4 drivers in one that aren't locked in one lineup. And I don't know how well they score. Because you've got Busher starting 32nd. Okay, I like that one. Priest starting 26. Okay. Suarez starting 36. Okay. And Zane. I mean, you could put that together, and that gives you a huge amount of place differential. But I honestly think I like John Hunter Nemechek more than I like Zane right now on speed. I don't know. Let's get into the driver breakdown, and let's look at some practice speeds, because that kind of is another big indication on who may or may not be fast. I mean, the other thing is today's temperatures for qualifying at noon were in the high 70s, low 80s for most of it. Well, tomorrow for the race, it's supposed to be in the mid 80s, climbing to almost 90. I mean, here in Richmond, they're calling for, I think, 90 something as the high tomorrow. Look real quick. Tomorrow's high here, 93 degrees in Richmond. And I know it's supposed to get close to 90 at Dover. So the weather looks really nice, really hot. And that PJ1 and the tires and the tire wear and the extra horsepower and the not as much downforce. I think we're in for a very entertaining race. Don't get me wrong. The entertainment factor is going to be really, really good. But holy crap, trying to build fantasy lineups. I wish I could tell you a direction to go here, but I don't have a clue. Like Denny Hamlin, starting from the pole at Dover, one of his best tracks. This is like Denny Hamlin starting at Pocono. He's going to probably go out and lead over half of the laps and probably finish top 3. I mean, he's got a 5.4 average finishing position for the 5 tracks we're comparing to. Actually, let's talk about this whole page real quick so everybody knows what we're looking at here. So this line here, the 2 wins, this is 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. That comes from this line up here, which is the last 3 Dover races, the Darlington race from earlier this year, and the Bristol race from earlier this year, because they're the most like tracks to Dover that we've raced at. Because once you get back to Dover 2022, that was the first year of the next-gen era car, and nobody knew what or how to set up the car to do anything. And even in 23, it was still a little bit of a crapshoot. Really, it's 24, 25 that become a little bit more apparent on the teams know what they're doing with this car and the driver knows what he's doing with this car. But 2022 was an absolute head scratcher of a year. So that's why part of that comes into play. Not into one lineup. Okay. I mean, you can do that. It's beyond risky. And it can happen and it could work. I'm not saying it's not possible. The risk on that is extremely high that all 4 make it in on 6 of those spots. They are the only 4 not locked in that you're taking. Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, there are other drivers. Let me see. Bowman starting too far up. Eric Jones starting too far up. Noah might get in on the fan vote, but starting too far up. I mean, you could take Priest. Zilich, you got to remember, Zilich won this race in the Xfinity Series last year, and his practice speeds looked really good. AJ definitely is real hit or miss at this track. Downs Jr. is actually pretty good here. John Hunter's decent here. I mean, there are a few more drivers, but yeah, the Todd Gillen I think is starting too far forward. Riley Herbst is starting too far forward. I don't think Cole Custer makes the cut. I don't think Cody Ware or Ty Dillon. If Ty Dillon happens to, he's starting too far up. So yeah, I think you're pretty close on those 4. I would say Buescher, Suarez, maybe a McDowell. McDowell always seems to be right at that cut line and just misses. Maybe he makes it this year. Priest. Who else did you say? Did you say Priest? Yeah, you said Priest starting in 26. Yeah, I don't mind that. Suarez. Yeah, I like Suarez. Zane. Zane is the only one that I have a question mark on. Not that he can't do it. Out of those 4, that's the one that has me probably the most worried. So, But back to Denny Hamlin. So on this page, like I said, this line here comes from the 5 races I just talked about. He has a 68.6 DraftKings average, and that's for those 5 races. This one is different because they do some weird stuff with inversions and who's starting where and where they're starting. We just don't know that information. But either way, Denny Hamlin still has a 5.4 average finish for those 5 racetracks, or those 5 races, 3 of them being the last Dover races, and a 6.3 average running position. Denny did win here at Dover last year. That's this line here. And then if we look at his total starts at Dover, he has 14 total starts, 6 wins. Over half the races where he starts at Dover, he wins. 8 times in the top 5, 11 in the top 10. 11 out of 14 starts, he has finished in the top 10. Very impressive. I expect Denny Hamlin to be around. I expect him to lead at least a good chunk of the first stage and potentially even win this race. I still do not mind taking Denny Hamlin starting from the pole. Now, his practice speeds. He is in the yellow. He was not the fastest in practice. And the other thing is we had like forever in practice on Friday. Temperature was a little different. They had 2 sets of tires. And we saw upwards of 108 laps run in practice by Chase Elliott. Almost too much data. I like it, but my spreadsheet did not like it because the most we've ever really run before is like 40. Don't have to worry about it. Now most of these guys are running in the 60s. I'm like, I'm not changing my whole graph for one race. So we got what we got. It still shows us some data. I still don't mind it. But Carson Hocevar was extremely fast in practice, extremely fast on the long run. And after he changed his tires, he was even faster. You could tell when a driver came in to change their tires. There's like a Denny Hamlin at lap 23 goes from a 24.5-second lap down to a 22.8. And then he kind of levels it out. So that's where Denny Hamlin changed his tires. Carson Hocevar changed his tires at about lap 25. And you see when he comes back out after lap 26, he's running much better, much faster, much more stable laps. Kyle Larson, can't really tell from here, other than it looks like about lap 40 he may have come in and changed because he spikes up here, and my sheet just doesn't go past that. So we got what we got. I wasn't going to change this whole setup for one race. So we got what we got. But either way, Denny Hamlin's extremely good here. His practice speeds were on point. They weren't the fastest. They weren't the slowest. He's got good, solid progression, kind of keeps level with the field. And because this track is very place differential dominant, being up front, starting up front is going to be good for Denny for at least the first stage. After that, who knows? Because if he starts first, he's going to go back to 26, and he's going to have to find his way to the front again. Denny's more than capable of doing it. All right, so I'm going to call the optimal line at about 60. It's about where we normally are. And because I think the Dominator points are going to get spread out, I don't know if we see one true Dominator. It's more going to be, if you're going to take somebody that's starting up front, it's not because you think they're going to be necessarily lead 200 laps. They're going to end up finishing first, second, or third and get those 30, 40 points just for the finishing positions, and they'll have some Dominator points given to them. Like that being said, Denny Hamlin will put in the first starting spot. One of the best drivers here at Dover. We don't think he's going to be super dominant other than maybe he leads 60 laps. And the fast laps, I think, will get spread out a little bit because of just the tire wear. So we'll do 15. I mean, that's 66.75 points. That's about what he averages for these races on a normal weekend. I still think Denny Hamlin, even starting from the pole, I think is still perfectly fine to be taken for this race tomorrow. Kyle Larson, here's one of our first drivers that, regardless of what happens, he's going to end up with positive place differential right out of the gate. The worst he can finish is 26. He is starting 29th. This is like taking Cody Ware starting 41st and going, well, he's at least going to get 36th sixth place points. But Kyle Larson starting 29th, he was fastest in practice. He was 11th in 10 lap consecutive average, so he fell off a little bit. He is one of our control cars for our chart, but he does not have a win here at Dover. Well, that's not right at all. I don't know why that showed up that way. Sorry about that. But he did finish 4th in this race last year. In the last 5 races, he has not won this race. I'm pretty sure he has won here before. Why did my sheet do that to me? I'm going to blame AI, even though I really can't blame AI for that one. That was just me being dumb, I guess. Let me see why it did that. Because I'm curious now. Did I just not fill in? No, I didn't fill it in, I don't think. Cup races since 2021. Nope, I did not. Dover. Yep, I didn't do that. My bad. I'll just have to call it out as we get to it. 1 second. All right. We could look at it real quick, though. So actually, I thought that was really low for Denny Hamlin's for his starts. He has, I mean, he's still really good here. 35 total starts, 3 wins, 9 top 5, 17 top 10s, and 24 top 20s. So 24 out of 35, not bad. I knew Kyle Larson had won here before. 1 win, 9 top 5s. So half the amount of races, but the same amount of top 5s for Kyle Larson here. Both are extremely good. Ryan Blaney, 15, no wins. Chase Elliott's won here twice. Alex Bowman's got a win. Joe Logano's got a win. Brett Keselowski's got a win. Kyle Busch has 2 wins. And after that, nobody else. So I'll kind of keep this over to the side. And if we need it again, we just need to remember that the bottom line is not correct at all. Sorry about that. Made a mistake. It happens. All right, so Kyle Larson's practice speeds. I know these are right. We talked about that before. I'd put Austin Cindric in because Austin Cindric was actually really good on the long run. Until he wasn't. But I just put another driver in here for the Kyle Larson one because Kyle Larson is one of the controlled cars. Better than average throughout. He's starting worse than average, way worse, 29th. So let's look at what's the worst case scenario for Kyle Larson. I mean, it's still not going to be good. 29th and 26. Start 29th, you finish 26. You don't have any fast laps, and I'm not even going to give you the 1 lap lead. It's 19 points. Well, he's going to need to probably get to at least 34 to be in the top 15 of point getters. So if Kyle Larson can work his way up to a respectable 10th place finish, it's 53 points. Well, I mean, I have 26 drivers. Not bad. 6th place or better for Kyle Larson without leading a lap, not having a fast lap. And remember, he was fastest in practice. Gets him to 61 points. That probably puts him real close to, or if not, optimal range. All right, Ryan Blaney, $10,200 starting in 28th. His practice speeds were 7th in single lap, 8th in 10 lap consecutive average. In the last 5 races we're comparing to, he has no wins, but has 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, a 73.5 Draftkings average, a 4.6 average finish. He finished 8th here in this race last year. And Ryan Blaney's total history, 15 total starts, no wins, 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and 10 top 20s for 15 total starts. Not too shabby. So yeah, I mean, starting 28th, got that guaranteed starting spot or finishing spot of at least 26. So positive place differential. And looking at the chart, we've got Larson in red, Hocevar in blue, and Blaney in yellow. He only made it to about lap 29 on the laps that were recorded that were within a 22 second to 26 second range. I mean, solid, good, much better than 28th. I said he's going to get 2 spots of place differential regardless. Now, do I think Ryan Blaney's going to get up and lead a bunch of laps? Maybe in stage 2, and then who knows where these people are going to end up falling into. I mean, I think he's probably, you could lock Ryan Blaney in for a top 10 or even a top 5, as long as he doesn't wreck himself or get wrecked. Which, I mean, here at Dover, who knows what may or may not happen. But if we look at his average finishes of 6.8 for all of the information, which is the trend line in the last 5 races here at Dover and Darlington and Bristol. If he gets to 7th, starting in 28th, let's say he has 3 fast laps, but he doesn't lead a lap. 59.35. It's almost there. So Larson in 6th, Blaney in 7th. Both of them get close to what I think will be the optimal line of about 60. So I do still think that both of them are very much in play if everything stays status quo. The problem is we're not racing in status quo, and we're not, if and buts. It's not Christmas because it's candies and nuts. Chase Elliott, even a bigger place differential play. 31st. As I said, you can take all 3. It's just going to be extremely hard. I mean, if you're taking all 3 of these guys, you can't get anybody that's starting. Well, I guess you could. I guess you could take an Eric Jones. But that's even more of a long shot than everything else. I don't want to put my head around that one. So, Chase Elliott, $10,000 starting 31st. His practice speeds were 12th and 24th. No wins in the last 5 races we're comparing to, but 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s. Chase Elliott has 2 wins here. 10 out of 15 times he's finished in the top 5. 11 out of 15 times he's finished in the top 10. And 13 out of 15 times in the top 20. And he's starting 31st. Great place differential play. It's just expensive. And it's all-stars. Who knows what's going to happen in this race? And his practice speeds were really rough here for, I don't know, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 laps. And then he finally comes in and gets work done. He's not super fast, but he's never really super fast in practice. So this is not, now, this big of a spike is a little abnormal, but for him to be at and around the average line is pretty normal. So I'm not worried. He's starting 31st. I mean, he's going to get 5 points of place differential right out of the gate. In fact, we'll just put it on. Let's see, 31st starting spot. Get the 10th. We'll give him 2 fast laps and no laps left. 55.9 points. So if you think Larson can finish 6th, Blaney will finish 7th, and Chase Elliott will finish 8th, then all 3 of them probably have enough to make the optimal lineup. Depends on what else is built around them. And the problem is when you only have $19,000 left to build around them, it gets real tough because you don't have any guarantees at that point. Stanley says, my optimal lineup that I created: Elliott, Larson, Blaney, Priest, Suarez, Zane Smith. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't know if I like the Zane Smith one though. That's probably the out of the 6 drivers, that's the one that probably has me go, I don't know. So we'll get to Zane here in a few minutes, and I'll let you get a better feel for his practice speeds. Christopher Bell, $9,700, starting in 6th. His practice speeds were 6th and 13th and 10 lap consecutive average. And the last 5 races we're comparing to, it's been a tough go lately for Christopher Bell. No top 5s, 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, a 20.8 Draftkings average. And here at Dover, Christopher Bell, 7 total starts, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 3 out of 7 times he's finished in the top 20, 4 times he's finished outside the top 20. Eek. Not great stats for Christopher Bell, to be perfectly honest. I think it's probably just more of what he's been dealing with the past couple of weeks or this year. It's just kind of bad finishing spots and bad luck. He is in yellow here. Practice speeds are pretty much about average. Does improve on the second set of tires, but then it looks like it spikes right back up to about the average again. So decent speed, not great speed. He's starting in 6th. He's had a little bit of a run of not great luck. In the truck race, he was very hit or miss. So not real sure there. Sorry, I'm looking at a replay. Oh yeah, he's out. I don't know how much of Christopher Bell I will have. It's just going to be, this is not one of his best tracks. It's, even if he finishes in 5th, I just don't, I don't know if he leads any laps. His speed was never at a point where I thought he would have a bunch of laps led. 40.9 points, top 15 in points, but I mean, we only have 26 drivers that we should be dealing with. We have 36, but I mean, he's guaranteed at least a top 26 starting spot. But I don't like the average finishes here. I don't like the current trend line on Christopher Bell. If there's an accident, it always seems to try to find Bell. So I'm probably a little bit of a fade on Bell. I don't love it. Let's put it that way. Tyler Reddick, $9,500, starting in 14th. His practice speeds were 25th and 12th on the 10-lap run. I mean, if there's any race, there's no points on the table. It's just $1 million in bragging rights. Okay. Sure. Starting in 14th, we've got some place differential, maybe. I mean, it's kind of starting in the middle of the pack. 13th is the middle. And at Dover, for his total career, Tyler Reddick has 7 starts, no top 5s, only 2 top 10s, and 6 out of 7 times he's finished in the top 20. So, I mean, realistically, his average at Dover is 14.5. I just don't know if it's about where he's starting. And I think that's honestly, maybe he gets up to 10th. Yeah, I mean, his practice speeds were okay. They were great. I mean, you got to remember the average is the 36 total field of drivers. Or we're going to cut down to 26, and Tyler Reddick is starting 14th. That's probably about in the middle. That's probably about 13th to 14th. All indicators are he's going to finish about where he starts. Now, I have a feeling that we're going to see a fair amount of attrition. Now, do we think Tyler Reddick misses that attrition or not? That part, I'll let you try to figure out. But I'm kind of putting Tyler Reddick at about a 31.9. William Byron, $9,000 in price, starting in 5th. He is locked into the show. Price speeds are 21st and 29th. In the last 5 races we're comparing to, William Byron's kind of like Christopher Bell. He's had speed, but just hasn't had great luck at finishes. Well, it all depends on whether you think William Byron goes out and gets any Dominator points at all. I think he could lead a couple laps. I think he can have some fast laps. I don't think it's going to be a Denny Hamlin type of show for William Byron, at least anything that I could tell. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen in stage 2. So, but looking at stage 1, the first 75 laps, I honestly think it's Denny Hamlin's to give away. And I just don't think he gives it away. So, but William Byron, total body of work at Dover, 11 starts, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 7 top 20s. Respectable. In fact, it's pretty solid. A 14.9 average finish. 14.9 average finish. Kind of about like Tyler Reddick. So, starting in 5th is kind of the I don't know. But if we look at his practice speeds, this part I really do like about William Byron. His practice speeds were very steady, well below the average, and much more consistent. What I mean by that, more flatlined, is every lap was just consistent times, and they were all really good times over and over and over again. Not much of a slip. So up until about lap 30, 31, did it start to kind of show any signs of out of balance or not running consistent lap times. And even this, we're talking a half a second difference between that lap to that lap. Not that big of a deal. The only problem I've got is where he's starting. This 5th. I don't know if Reddick or if Byron goes up and leads a bunch of laps. It's very possible he does in stage 2, maybe even stage 3, depending on how all everything works out. The problem is we just don't have much of an indicator, and because even if somebody's running well, we're going to flip it around and send him to the back. And then is he able to make positions up by the end of the race? I don't know. First time we've done this at Dover. I think that's the intriguing part, but it's also the extremely hard part of. I talked about it last week, and I've talked about it many times. Is when I build my lineups, I build my lineups with a storyline. It was like last week. My storyline was literally SVG goes out and he dominates. Stage 1, stage 2, he'll pit 2 laps to go before the end of each of those stages, so he can come back out and lead the final stage. And all of that worked out until we had a caution with 30, 35 laps to go for Joe Logano? That the one that caused the caution? Or was it? I don't know. Either way, we had the caution and he stayed out. Everybody else came in. He went out and led a bunch more laps and then had to pit. And 20 laps later, he had to go catch everybody in the field and put on a show. And that he did. So that part of the story I did not have. But the first 2/3 of the story were exactly the way I thought it would go. Here, all I can really tell or think is Denny Hamlin leads a fair amount of stage 1. Beyond that, and there's $1 million on the line, what are you going to do for $1 million? It's not a point race. You're not racing for points. It's win $1 million or you suck, pretty much. And that makes these very interesting. So, yeah. I think William Byron has that in him. Sure, I think he's going to give it a shot. Maybe he gets fortunate and finds himself up there. But for him to do it, even if he leads 10 laps, has 10 fast laps, finishes in third, it's 50. Well, at $9,000, that's probably not going to quite cut it. He's probably going to need to get closer to that 55-point range. So he's going to need to probably lead like 20 laps. And yeah, it's pretty tough. And especially when you start inverting fields and doing weird spots for stage 3, I just don't know. I mean, I respect Willie B's speed in practice. It looks to be one of the actual better speeds in practice. Joanne, hey, I got your email earlier. Hope everyone's dart throws hit bullseye. The problem is I'm throwing darts blindfolded and backwards with my toes this week, is the way I feel about this. And I don't think that's going to turn out very good for anybody, but we're going to play some and we're going to see. But yeah, I got your email, and sorry you can't post. Maybe we'll get that figured out at some point in time. But glad you're able to join Discord and be in the group, and hopefully we can get you to where you can make comments and stuff in the Discord. So we'll get you there. If anybody doesn't know, Joanne's new. At least I think she's fairly new to the Draftkings world when it comes to at least racing. So glad to have her here, and I'm glad she was able to at least get into Discord and see at least what I post. I just need some more people to go and post with me. So it's open to you guys to post. So if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, post away in Discord. Just don't be rude or mean to anybody, because that will get you booted out. Chase Briscoe, $8,700 starting in 16th. Practice speeds were. That's the crazy thing is usually Dover is a Joe Gibbs Hendrick style track. I know we say that almost every week about every track, but I mean, when you're two of the top 3 teams in the sport, yeah, that happens. But Chase Briscoe, starting 16th, we've got some place differential potential here. The 19 car has won here a lot. Chase Briscoe has not. Has Chase Briscoe ever won here? Nope. He has 5 total starts at Dover, 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 3 top 20s. I mean, his work of art, his total work is not, there's not a huge portfolio. And his practice speeds were about average. He's starting about average. Honestly, it reminds me of like a Tyler Reddick. He's gonna need some luck to be on his side. I don't know. He finished second this race last year. So, all right. So what happens if he finishes second? Let's say, let's stay with the story that Denny Hamlin leads most of the first stage, is able to battle his way back and ends up winning this thing, and he bleeds, I don't know, 60, 70 laps, and then the rest of it gets kind of spread out. So Chase Briscoe starting in 16th, not going to go and finish first, but maybe he finishes 4th and has 3 fast laps, and we'll let him have the token 1 lap led. It's 53 points. $8,700 at 53 points. I don't know if that's going to be enough. It could be, though. Let's go look at the optimal lineups one more time again so we can have a good reference. $8,700. So Alex Bowman last year, $8,800, needed 72 points to get into the optimal. Nobody really. $8,600 for Ross Chastain in 2022, got 83 points. Christopher Bell at 8,100 got to 58 points. Yeah, so I don't think. I mean, 53 points would be close. If you had him and another person at 80, let's say Ty Gibbs or something, $8,500. But Ty Gibbs scored better, but you swapped them out. I still think you finished doubling your money, if not more. So I don't mind the Chase Briscoe play. At least he's guaranteed no worse than 26. It's all based on where do you think he may finish? If his average finishes aren't great, 13.6. I mean, it's better than Byron or Reddick. So, and he's got a few more spots of place differential to gain. So I'll have some ownership in Briscoe. I probably won't have a ton, but I'll have some. Next in line here, Ty Gibbs, $8,500, starting in 9th. His practice speeds were 5th in single lap, 7th in 10-lap consecutive average. He did 86 total laps of practice. Good for Ty Gibbs. I think Chase Elliott was 108. Go confirm that. Chase Elliott, 108 laps of practice. God, would I love to see 108 laps of practice every week. I would expand my thing and would get really good detailed information. Right now, we still get decent information, but gosh, I would love to be able to have 100 laps of practice for every practice. We'd have so much data. Ty Gibbs, pretty darn consistent here. Starting in 9th, he was 5th in single lap, 7th in 10-lap consecutive average. Does have one win out of the 5 races we're comparing to, which was the Bristol Spring Race. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 out of 5 top 20s, starting in 9th. 7th place average finish, 10.3 average running position. And his practice speeds looked, a little rough on the back end of the run. That's a little bit concerning. I don't know what the second half with the new set of tires looks like. Ty Gibbs' total history here: 3 races at Dover, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s. Not too bad. The question is, what is he going to need to do? He's going to need to do something. Start in 9th. Maybe he finishes in 2nd. If he's got 5 fast laps and 10, let's say he leads 10 laps. That gives him 53.75 points. But if he doesn't lead any laps and has 3 fast laps, but finishes in 2nd, 50.3. Don't love it. Don't hate it. It's got a 9.1 average finish. So if he finishes in 9th, it definitely took me a lower. So 36.35 points. I'll take a few shots on Ty Gibbs. I don't love it. Don't hate it. It's a coin flip on whether you run him or don't run him. So, he's having the best Cup year that he's had. It's not saying a lot. He's only had like 3.5 years of Cup experience, but this year has been way better than what previous years have been. Joey Logano, who is having, might be the roughest year or worst year that he has ever had. I'm checking some baseball scores because I had some decent bets going. I think I might be okay. Oh yeah, we've got the Ronda Rousey fight later. We'll put that on. What time is that? I think she fights at like 10:45 or 11. Where's my Netflix? Well, I thought I had Netflix on here. I know I've got Netflix somewhere in here. Actually, I wanted to make sure I watched that. There it is, Netflix. All right, Joe Logano, starting in 8th, who's having, like I said, the worst year of his career, at least in the Cup Series. I think the best thing since sliced bread has started to mold at this point. His practice speeds actually were not bad. Slightly better than average. He qualified about average. And his total body of work at Dover, 1 win, 29 total starts, 1 win, 6 top 5s, 15 top 10s, 29 out of 21 times he's finished in the top 20. So, I mean, he's very consistent here. He's typically usually really, really good on these mile-ish tracks. The problem is, he wasn't good at Bristol, was not very good at Texas, was not very good at Dover. At Darlington. I mean, at this point, until things start to turn around, I just don't know how much I'm interested in taking much or any of Joey Logano at this point. So, in starting in 8th, there's just not a whole lot of room for place differential. And unless we think he's going to end up going out and winning a bunch of races, I just don't know. Starting in 8th, it's just, I mean, if you think he's going to win, then sure. If you think he's going to win, and let's say he has 10 fast laps and his 20 laps led, that'll be enough. That's literally what he's going to have to do. The problem is, Joey just has not shown any speed at all so far this year, or very rarely. It's not very regular that he's doing it. Carson Osavar, $7,700 is locked into the show starting 24th. We got some place differential and we got a little bit of salary relief, and we've got somebody who's on a hot streak right now and racing pretty well. He raced the trucks here on Friday, showed pretty well. His practice speeds, he was fastest in 10 lap consecutive average. I think he was also fastest in 15, 20, 25, and 30 lap averages, but not a whole lot of people end up running those. So the comparison's kind of small, but either way, there's definitely a trend line going on with Carson Osavar, and right now he's doing really well, and he's got a ton of place differential for somebody that's locked in and that is priced $7,700. I think he's got the best place differential to price ratio that's locked into the show. So I definitely don't mind taking some Carson Hocevar starting at 24th. Not saying he needs to go win, but if he goes and gets a 5th place finish, let's say he has 5 fast laps, and I'm going to say he's going to lead any laps. He'll get 60.25 points. 5th place finish, 5 fast laps. He's in the hunt. He's well in the hunt. He'll make the optimal lineup if he does that. Heck, he could probably almost follow the 10th and get close, because at this point he probably needs 50, 55 points. Yeah. So I definitely like the Carson Hocevar play. He's locked into the show. He's $7,700. Gives you a little bit of salary relief. Now, I don't think you can play Carson, Elliott, Blaney, and Larson all together, unless you think Cody Ware is going to make the show. Give that a shot to it. Let me know next week how you do with that. Ross Chastain, $7,600, starting in 4th. Led a bunch of laps in the Truck Series. Led a bunch of laps in the O'Reilly race today. Just can't quite hold on to a decent finish, though. In the last 5 races that we're comparing to, 3 Dover races, a Darlington and a Bristol, he's only got 1 top 5, 1 top 10, but 4 top 20s. Well, he's starting in 4th, so giving up a ton of potential place differential with a 16.6 average finish. Look at his practice speeds. They start off really good, and it just gets sideways on him once the tires wear at about lap 18. And it just, this is what I've talked about in previous episodes, is when the speeds start to do this, there is a handling issue, a balance issue. one of these you can say, okay, that was a situation where somebody on the track either slowed up and he wasn't quite ready, or he got a little too hard into a corner and he had to back it up, and it slowed him down for a lap. Okay, you get one of those, maybe two, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4 that's just up and down. I'm going to be a fade on Ross Chastain because it literally, for him to do anything, number one, he's going to have to get lucky enough to finish well, but he wouldn't going to need to finish in first. And 5 fast laps and 1 lap led is 50.5. That potentially could put him in. But do you think Ross Chastain wins the race? If that's the storyline you want to go with, then run him. It's probably not going to be the storyline that I run with very much or at all. So, Brad Keselowski, $7,500 starting outside pole. He's locked into the show. Outside pole. Do you think Brad is? I mean, Brad's really good at other tracks like Darlington. He's decent at Bristol. His total body of work here at Dover, 27 total starts, 1 win, 5 top 5s out of 27 starts, 12 out of 27 times he's finished top 10. Now, he's pretty consistent about finishing in the top 20. He's got 23, has an average finish of 13.4. The problem is he's starting outside pole. Even if he happens to race there, stay up there, and then they invert the field at lap 75, now he's going to be 25th. What does his car handle like, and what is he able to do from 25th up? That's the part that I just go, this becomes a real headache when you start to think about, okay, yeah, I think Brad could get up there. He could stay in the top 5 all day. Maybe lead some laps, maybe get some fast laps. Cool, I like it. Yeah, it's a start up front, stay up front type of day for Brad. Yeah. A quarter of the way through the race, we're going to send him to the back. Okay, well, that takes that thought process out the window. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, even with Denny Hamlin, who I think potentially has the best opportunity to win this race, probably lead the first 75 laps, I just go, is that enough if he happens to finish in 10th? I mean, maybe. So Brad's starting in second when he's got an average finish of 11.2, which is actually really solid. It's one of the better drivers. If you go and finish, I mean, even 10th, you're at 29 points, even with 5 fast laps and four laps led. Just, there's not enough to feel comfortable. You can take some one-off shots with it. I'm not saying it's just an absolute no-go. Like Eric Jones, I'm just absolutely not touching. If it burns me, it burns me. I'm not touching it. Kyle Busch, $7,300. Quietly, with the new crew chief, Kyle Busch is starting to have a decent run in the Cup car again. Surprise, surprise. Maybe there's a little chemistry there. Maybe it's just a good luck charm. I don't know. But Kyle Busch is starting to run better. If he hadn't done what he did at Texas with Brian, with who did he get into at Texas? Was it John Hunter? I can't remember. But when he did that, he ended up having a trouble and falling into 20th. He would have had a solid top 10 finish. Last week at Watkins Glen, top 10 finish. Solid day all day long. Ran in the top 10 all day long. Good solid pit stops. Good run for Kyle Busch. Things are starting to look better for Kyle. Starting 11th. He is locked into the show because he's a past Cup champion. Is that enough? I'm not sure. Practice speeds looked pretty good. 4th in single lap. 2nd in 10 lap consecutive average. Look at his lap times. That's not the right sheet. Where is my Cup sheet? Sorry. Practice speeds. Dover Cup. we keep Larson, take Cody Ware out, and put in Kyle Busch. All right, there we go. All right, that's better. Kyle Busch is in yellow. Good speeds all the way through. Looks like he gets new tires at 27, comes back out, fires off solid. I mean, well above average for the majority of that run. That's not right. Starting 11th. I mean, the nice thing is he's going to probably start 11th there, probably start 11th in the second round. And, if he starts 11th for the final round, maybe he gets himself a 6th place finish. 11th to 6th. And 5 fast laps, 1 lap led, only gets you to 45.5 points. Probably not quite enough. Gets a top 4. Gets him close. Top 3, which I'm not saying is not doable. He could. I mean, what a way to turn your season around and your career around. To head it back on the right track is to go win at Dover in the All-Star race. It's non-points, I get it, but I mean, right now, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson are both just looking for good finishes. I mean, either of the Kyles win this thing, you could see a resurgence for both of them. Busch has struggled a lot more than Larson has, but it's very possible that either one of them take care of it. All right, Bubba Wallace guaranteed into the show. Also $7,200 starting in 7th. He was 15th in single lap, 10th, and 10 lap consecutive average. 9.2 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. Practice speeds were, I mean, he really fell off by lap 28. Comes back and gets tires and does okay. Starting in 7th, though, I just don't know if there's enough place differential here. I mean, especially, I don't know. The average finishes are not great. It's 19 for this style track. Yeah. I just think there's not a good enough average, and his practice speeds weren't that great. And Bubba Wallace has also had a turn of bad luck for the last 6-7 weeks. So, I mean, he had an okay week last week at, he was having a pretty good race up until about lap 98, and then was it Josh Berry who ended up getting into a tussle and ended up ruining his race? Josh Berry, $7,000 starting in 19th. As an average finish of 20.2 for the 5 races we're comparing to. No top 5s, 1 top 10. And Josh Berry at Dover, 4 starts, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s. Starting in 19th. There's some place differential here, but once again, we look at these practice speeds, and they are a roller coaster of speeds. Yeah, I'm probably going to fade away from Josh Berry for the most part. He might end up showing up in 5 to 8% of my lineups, but it's going to be on the low end. Austin Cindric, 10th in single lap, 4th in 10 lap consecutive average, starting in 10th. Average finish of 15.6 for the 5 races we're comparing to. 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 4 top 20s. Pretty consistent finishing in the top 20, but you're starting in 10th, which probably means negative place differential. But his practice speeds actually, on the long run, were fairly good up until about lap 30. They get a little more consistent. And honestly, I think everybody's due because the tire wear just starts to take place. And with the hot track tomorrow, it's going to be even more difficult. No downforce, high horsepower. 10th. I just think he's starting too far up. I'm probably going to say I'm a fade on Austin Cindric. SVG, our winner from last week, $6,500 guaranteed into the show because of all of his road course wins. This style track is just not good for SVG. The last 5, it's actually like 4. I think he did, 25. He did not do 24. 25, 26, 26. So 3 of these 5 races, he only has a 1 top 20. 26th place average finish, starting in 18th. I think he's just starting too far up. Not interested. And his practice speeds were bad at the beginning. They got much better after they made some adjustments, got some fresh tires. He was okay, but he's starting in 18th. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. Austin Dillon starting in 17th. I can't say I like this either. 35th in single lap, 36th in 10 lap consecutive average. He's even slower than SVG, starting 1 spot better than SVG. 22.4 average finish. He finished 15th in this race last year. And his practice speeds were, I'm not sure he beat the average at all. So I think he's guaranteed and locked into the show, but I just don't think it's going to be all that great. Alex Bowman, our first open driver, starting in 12th. I honestly, even being an open driver, if he happens to make it in, I think he's just starting too far up. It's just really hard in 12th place. And his practice speeds were okay. They were about average. But the average was 36 drivers. That puts you 18th. And that's about where he was in practice, 18th. Starting in 12th, even if you happen to stay, let's say you happen to make the field and you finish in 12th, it gets you 33 points. It's not going to be enough at $8,300 because now that we've gotten back to the open, we're going back up in price. I think Alex Bowman for the price is too far of a stretch. Chris Buescher. Here's one of our first drivers that, if he is able to get himself into the field, is an absolute great play at $7,800. I wouldn't mind tying up Chris Buescher with Carson Hocevar, and then probably 2 of those top expensive drivers, the Brian Blaney, Chase Elliott, or Kyle Larson. I think that's a good play with Chris Buescher. I think Chris Buescher could easily get himself here. He has an 11.4 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. No top 5s, but 3 top 10s. Finished 9th here at this race last year. His practice speeds were at or better than average for most of it. A couple laps he got a little bit worse, but for the most part, I think Chris Buescher should be able to make it up and through the field and into the final 200 laps. No guarantee. Flat tires and bad pit stops and all of those things do happen. So it's not a guarantee, that's for sure. So buyer beware with these open drivers. They may look good, but there's no guarantee they make the last 200 laps. And if that doesn't happen, forget it. You probably might be, with a Chris Buescher, if his average finish was 27th, and he stays in 27th, then I don't think that's enough, though. 32 to 27, even if the other drivers do super well, I don't think it's going to be enough. 27th gets you... maybe he has 5 fast laps. I don't know if he leads any laps starting in 32nd, even if they invert the field. 22 points. I don't think 22 points is going to be enough. Ryan Preece at $7,100 starting 26th. Practice speeds are 23rd and 16th. I think Ryan Preece is right on the cusp. The RFK cars all looked very solid in practice. Very consistent throughout. I'm going to have to cut tonight short. I got to go use the boys' room. Too much information, I know, but we're almost 2 hours into this. Usually I'm good for 2 hours. $7,100 starting 26. Let's see, 26, get to 15th. If he can make the show and finish in 15th, 40.6. Yeah, I don't mind the Ryan Preece play. It's buyer beware. all these drivers back here are all buyer beware. Yep, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right, now I can think again. Ryan Priest, $7,100. Starting 26. Get my time for my brain back working here. Practice speeds. Oh yeah, the RFK cards. They all showed up really good in practice. Ryan just missed qualifying. I mean, it was really did like qualifying a lot. And I cannot remember if he sped on pit road, missed pit road entry, or had a slow pit stop, or it's hard to say what they did or didn't do. But that there's so many variables that go into it. But I think his practice speeds are good enough. His averages recently have been good enough. Ryan Priest should be one of the top 5 drivers or 6 drivers to finish that are part of the open group. Like I said, they're pretty much are 4 or 5 drivers that I just don't think have the speed or experience or capabilities to get up and have a 26 plus average finish, unless there's a lot of wrecking between stages 1 and 2. Then all bets are off. I mean, you could potentially even see a Cody Ware make it up there, but the chances of that are about as good as Eric Jones leading 200 laps. Watch both of them happen. So I like the Ryan Priest play. I think he makes the show. We'll give a full rundown at the end of the 6 drivers that I think make the show. Connor Zilic could make the show. He could also get the fan vote. I think it's going to be a tight race between Zilic and Gregson and probably Suarez, because Suarez has got his amigos, and those amigos come out and vote a lot. But I think those 3, if any, so more likely Noah's going to win the fan vote. But if Noah gets in, I think it's a race between Connor Zilic and Suarez. The thing is, if all 3 of those end up racing in, I don't really know who might be the 4th. I would possibly say Zane Smith, maybe, but I think he's more of a fan favorite for Draftkings people than he is actually at the track. I could be wrong though. He is a pretty boy. But Connor Zilic, I mean, his speeds were very consistent and very good. He's starting in 27th. I don't mind the Connor Zilic play. I think he has as much opportunity as Ryan. Well, Ryan Priest has been more consistent so far this year. Connor Zilic probably has better speed than Priest. The problem is, can Connor Zilic put together a full race, or at least a full 150 laps? We'll see. Micah McDowell, 6,600, starting in 30th. He's just not great at these tracks. He struggles at Martinsville. He struggles at Darlington. He struggles at Bristol. just, and his practice speeds are just a little wonky. I mean, even if you take out the spike here, it's not bad. He changed his tires, and he falls off a lot more in the second run than he does the first run. I don't know if that's because the track rubbers in and it becomes more of a slick issue if it got hotter. But he qualified 30th, but his average finish is 23rd. His best finish at Darlington is, let's see, he's got 25 total starts, no top 10s, 4 top 20s. So 4 times he's finished in the top 20, 21 times he's finished outside the top 20. He has an average finish of 24.7. I'm probably going to be a fade on Michael McDowell making it. Noah Gragson, even if Noah Gragson makes it into the show and there's 26 drivers, he's still stuck with the 13th starting spot for Draftkings. And I just don't think Noah Gragson's going to go up and get a top 10 finish. His practice speeds are at or about average. His pit crew did a really good job for him. But yeah, I just think he's starting too far up. He's going to need to get to, probably at least 40 points. Let's see. 13th to get up to 40 points. A 6th place would do it. 10th place does not. 8th place does. So there's no one number 1. Make the race. Okay. Go on the thought process of yes, he can do it because of the fan vote. I think the problem is the fan vote puts him in at 20. I don't know where the fan vote actually puts him. Good question. Does it say in DraftKings where the fan vote gets put in? Or is it just they get their average? Let's see. I know there were some notes at the top up here. Draft information. All 350 laps are counted for the All-Star race. Starting positions are scored based on pit crew challenges. We know that. Drivers who fail to advance in the final segment will be assigned a finishing position between 27th and 36th. Okay, we got that. A driver who is already qualified for the final segment but is unable to race it and damaged car will have a finishing position scored no lower than 26. Okay. So all that makes sense. Problem is, I don't know where the fan vote gets put in. I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see tomorrow. I don't know what to tell you, honestly. That's kind of I don't know. So yeah, if anybody knows or can find the information out there, let me know. Daniel Suarez starting 36th, last in the field. Yeah, he had a really rough qualifying effort. I don't think the Rousey's fight is about ready to start yet. I know they're still warming up. So once the Rousey fight looks like it's about to start, we'll probably wrap this up pretty quickly. Daniel Suarez, 6,200, because I know I'll probably lose some people. May not lose everybody. But it should be a pretty good fight. No, we've got 2 dudes fighting. So I know the Rousey fight's the main event at the end. Daniel Suarez, 6,200, starting 36, dead last. His practice speeds were not great. They were okay, about average. Can he get himself up to 26th place or better before lap 75? Oof. This is I shouldn't play, but I'm going to play. Yep, this is exactly what this is. This is, I'm going to play and I'm going to be like, okay. It's I think Joanne said, I hope everyone's dart throws hit the bullseye. Yep. I mean that's why honestly it's a safe play. If you're playing in a small field tournament, cash tournament, you almost just want to play everybody that's locked in. Because at worst, they're going to finish 26. I mean, and that's what you're supposed to do with cash plays. You're supposed to play what appears to be the best guarantee. Oh, there's 2 more fights before the Rousey fight? Okay. Probably midnight Eastern. Oh, we got an hour. If not more. I mean, if there's 2 more fights to go before Rousey, heck, it could be 12:30 before that thing starts. It's 11 o'clock now Eastern. I mean, the problem is if you're starting 36, you've got to gain at least 10 spots. What is Suarez's average finish? Daniel Suarez, average finish 17.2, 1 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 9 out of 13 times in the top 20. So I mean, he should have a pretty good shot of making it up into the field. The problem is you're starting dead last. All right, that fixed. Okay. I looked over and the screen was all screwed up. I mean, it's got the best spot for place differential. I mean, for him to get to, he's 6,200. I mean, he's only going to need to get to probably 45 points. 36. Um, 20th gets him to 41. I mean, heck, if he just makes the field, he'd almost a lock in for almost a. I mean, he gets to 18th. He gains. There's 26 drivers. If he just almost just makes the field, he almost just makes it in. So, yeah, I'll take. Can you give us an idea of the optimal lineup when you're finished? Yeah. Are you talking about what the points would be, or what I think would be the optimal lineup? I guess I need some clarification on that, R. Stanley. Because at 6,200, I mean, and the way I end up doing this is I just end up, yeah, my thoughts. Okay. Yeah, I just go back and look at what past Dover races have needed for optimals. The problem is this is not a typical Dover race because we're not going to see 193 laps led by a driver, I don't think. I mean, there is potential that we have a driver in stage 2 that goes out and leads the entire time. But I don't think we will because of the stage length. They're going to need to pit at least twice for fuel. Now, we may end up having enough cautions that they're not going to have green flag pit stops. But I mean, typically we've got close to 3 dominator types. I mean, 193, 98, 68, 86 laps led, 103 laps led, 90 or 73 laps led. We had last year we had 238 and 67. Then we have 136, 39. So it's almost we have 3 small dominators ish along with place differential. Yeah, it's just better to go with Hamlin or 2 of Blaney Elliott Larson. I mean, I think you can. So, I mean, Hamlin gets you there with 60 laps led and he finishes in first. Larson gets you there with a 6th place finish. Larson's locked into the show. That's the thing, is Larson's locked in. The problem is at this point you've now spent $21,500 for 2 drivers. So I mean, I think you could do a Larson, Hamlin. I mean, the problem is you're gonna have to put two of the open drivers in, and you're just it's almost like build a lineup like a Hamlin, Larson, Blaney, Elliott. Those four drivers, kind of mix and match them, along with maybe do you fit two of those drivers or three? I don't think you can fit three. Can you fit three? No, I think you end up going too far now because $7,700 doesn't fit in. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out a way to get Hocevar in because he's locked in and he's starting the furthest back of the locked in drivers. That's inexpensive, but he's not. He would need to be less expensive than what he is to really make the other two work. Hocevar and Busher, but the problem is Busher's not locked in. I mean, you can play Busher. I feel good about Busher, but he's not locked into the race. Yeah, whereas we just read on Draftkings site, if Kyle Larson wrecks lap 5 of this thing tomorrow, worst he's going to finish is 26. Worst. He'll be in. Okay. I mean, right, but one penalty on pit road, one flat tire, and he's not in. That's the whole thing. It will take one mistake you might be able to recover. Two mistakes you don't recover, and you don't get in. That's the problem. And as good as Busher has been, as good as some of the other drivers, I'm trying to think real quick who else is down here that I think should be able to drive their way in. Priest should be able to drive his way in. Noah should get the fan vote, but he might not. Suarez is having the type of year where he should be able to get in. It's just, I mean, if Suarez can make it in starting at 36, he's almost a lock for the optimal at 6,200. Because at 6,200, you can run three of those expensive guys and Suarez. Yeah, because only makes it to 18th and he's 45 points. Eric Jones starting in third. I'm not even going to go here. It's way too risky. Number one, he's got to make the race, not have an issue, and he's going to have to probably win and lead a bunch of laps. Even at 6,100. Let's see. He's starting in third. What? Number one, he'd have to continue to make the race, but these scenarios end up happening. So, win the race. 6,100. I mean, if he can win the race and only lead the one lap where he wins the race, there's enough there. But if he slips at all, let's say he makes the final round, but he finishes 9th, he doesn't win. Do we think Eric Jones, with these practice speeds, are enough to beat a Kyle Larson, a Carson Hocevar, a Denny Hamlin, a Reddick, a Chase Elliott? I don't think so. I mean, Chase Elliott starting in the back, Larson starting in the back, but is Eric Jones good enough to beat Denny Hamlin at probably one of Denny Hamlin's best tracks? It's it's more than a chess match. It's 3D chess match, especially for DraftKings. That's what I said at the beginning of this. It's like playing 3D or 4D chess. There's so many different layers to this that you have to start to think about. That literally with DraftKings in the big field tournaments, half the field is going to be done at the halfway point of this race. At lap 150, half of the lineups, for the most part, are going to be trash because they're going to be missing at least one driver. It's just that's what it is. John Hunter Nemechek, 33rd starting spot because he just his pit crew screwed him up. Dropped the jack early. He took off and his front wheel wasn't on. So bad on the pit crew. Probably John just kept driving. I don't know if they ended up doing any damage to the car or not. I mean, if they did, they were probably able to fix it tonight and this morning. Practice speeds were okay. Starting 33rd. The problem is his average. He's got a 25.8 average finish for the 5 tracks we're comparing to. If we look at his Dover total experience, 4 races, 2 top 20s, no top 10s, starting in 33rd. I think he's just honestly starting too far back. I like his starting spot, but I feel more comfortable with Eric Jones starting in 3rd, actually making the race. But the problem is there's no place differential for him to actually make anything out of it, and I don't think he finishes in the top 3. So I don't really love the John Hunter Nemechek play. It's potential that he could get up there. I just, if he is able to, and he finishes 20th, let's say he finishes 20th, 37 points at $6,000. He's probably going to need to get to at least 40, 45 points. Ricky Spinhouse spun twice and won straightaway, starting in 34th. Luckily enough, he didn't destroy his car when he spun out. $5,900. 34th, his practice speeds, I think, actually looked pretty good. Yeah, I mean, especially after the second set of tires, he came out and was very good. For the 5 races we're comparing to, it's a 23.8 average finish. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at Dover, 22 total starts, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and 15. So, well more than half. He's finishing top 20. It's all on whether you think Ricky Stenhouse makes the field or not. And starting 34th is going to be tough. I mean, you're talking he's going to have to go out and battle. I mean, everybody's favorite here, Zane Smith, for it. He's going to have to battle Priest, Busher, Suarez. Do we think he beats those drivers to get in? That's a tough one to do. But do half those guys end up wrecking before the end of it? I don't know. But I mean, he's right there with Suarez starting 36, starting 34th. You make the field and you finish, let's say you finish 24th. He's going to have to finish better than that. He's going to need to get to 20th, maybe 17th, 43.45 points. Yeah, that's probably well more than enough. I mean, barely a top 20 would probably get him there. 18th or better gets him to 41 points at 5,900. That's probably enough to get him into the optimal lineup. So, can Suarez and Ricky Stenhouse make it in? If they can, they're almost, I wouldn't say they're locks, but they're very close to being almost locks for optimal lineups just by making it into the show. Zane Smith is not starting in 25th. He has an average finish of 21.8. Okay. I mean, when he's starting with inside the 26 spots needed, he's got a 21.8 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. And for Dover, Zane has 2 starts, no top 20s, a 24th place average finish. Well, 24th would be good enough if he can maintain and hold on to that, just not top 20s. That one top 20 must have been Bristol or Darlington. Can't remember right offhand. But starting 25th, out of this group back here so far, I think Zane probably has the more talent other than Suarez to get in. So I don't look at his practice speeds at or slightly worse than average. Starting in 25th, which is at or slightly worse than average, it's going to be right on the line for Zane Smith. And then if he does happen to make it, he's got this 25th starting spot. He's going to need to get to 15th or better. So it's not quite as much of a guarantee as a Ricky or a Suarez. So I'll have some ownership in Zane. It just won't be a whole lot. It's definitely not a safe cash play. Along with Todd Gillen, not a very good safe cash play, to say the least. Todd Gillen has 4 total starts at Dover, and just like his partner in crime, Zane, has no top 20s and has actually a worst average finish of 28th, and he is starting in 20th. And his practice speeds were not good. I'm probably a fade on Todd Gillen if he happens to make it. At 5,600, he's going to need to get to almost 40 points. He's going to need a top 10. Yeah, I mean, pretty much a top 12 to potentially be in the optimal. Number one, this is not one of his better tracks. Number two, even if he does happen to make it, he's going to have to improve a fair amount from there. It's not as bad as Eric Jones' play, but I'm probably going to stay away from that. AJ Allmendinger, $5,500, starting in 35th. His practice speeds were 19th and 28th in the 10-lap consecutive average. AJ Allmendinger's 26 total starts at Dover. 4 top 10s out of 26 and 11 out of 26 top 20s. A 22.6 average finish, but starting in 35th, and our practice speeds look like pretty good, better than average, and then we fall off the cliff. And I don't know why he didn't go back out and do more laps. How many laps to practice? He did 43. 27 of those showed up on the time chart. I mean, if he can make it in at 5,500, he might need 38 points. 35th. Guaranteed, if he makes it in, guaranteed 26. Not enough. 24th. No. 20th. Why did Daniel Suarez look so darn good starting 36 to 18th? Oh, it's got the 5 fast laps. We'll give him 1. Starting it doesn't get you in there, but 20th, he's going to need 18th or better. It's not quite a guarantee if Daniel Suarez makes it in, but it's pretty darn close. So, I mean, Daniel, Nemechek, Stenhouse Jr., AJ, any of those make it into the field and can gain 3 or 4 spots, pretty good chance they make the optimal or enough to win your money back. So, and that's kind of that's what I always build my lineups around. I was like, what can I do to get those top 15 drivers so that way they end up, the mix and match between them ends up getting it there. Riley Herbst starting at 21st, even if he happens to make it, which I don't think he will. Practice speeds. I mean, his practice speeds are okay, and he's actually been running much, much better recently. But I just, starting at 21st, I mean, he would have to go and finish top 10. With all these inversions, he struggles when he starts to get into traffic. Starting in 21st. 14th might do it at 5,400. Might. And Riley Herbst only has the 1 start here, and he finished, I don't even know where he finished. Last year's race, Riley Herbst started 32nd and finished 24th. Starting 21st. Cole Custer starting in 22nd. I mean, this is why I don't like the chances, number one, that Riley Herbst or Cole Custer make it are probably sub 20%. And then if they do, they're not going to, the program's going to start 22nd. And do they improve much more than 18th? And look at Cole Custer's practice speeds. There's only 1 or 2 laps that are above average. I'm just not interested in the Cole Custer play either. Ty Dillon starting in 15th. Even if he happens to make it, he would have to finish well into the top 10. And his practice speeds are not even close. Not interested. Not even going to put it on the calculator. It's just a negative place differential. Cody Ware starting 23rd. It's just no way he's going to make it. All right, so at the end here, the guys on the left, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. I absolutely love all of them. You cannot play all. I mean, you can play all of them, but you're left with little to no choice afterwards. So you're going to have to mix and match. And you can also put Denny Hamlin into that group, in my personal opinion. Denny Hamlin has the best chance and opportunity to be potentially one of the only dominators. There is always potential that somebody else, whoever starts stage 3 in the front row, who happens to be fast, could easily dominate a large chunk of stage 3. The problem is we have no earthly idea who that can be, even with Denny Hamlin leading all of the first stage. If he's mired back in 20th place for all of stage 2, he's going to be 10th on average. Is that enough to get him back to the front? I don't know. So, but we also showed that if he just leads 60 laps, has 30 fast laps, and can get back to the front and finish in first again, or in the top 3, it's enough for him to be in the optimal lineup. So the Denny Hamlin card is absolutely still in play. I think Brad Keselowski does not lead much from the beginning. Maybe he leads somewhere towards the middle and into this thing, but I think it's a little unlikely. His speeds were just not that great in practice. So, I mean, honestly, that's 1, 2. Eric Jones, I don't think touches him. I'm talking about who could potentially lapse. Ross Chastain could potentially give Denny Hamlin a slight run, but he's going to be starting opposite lane than Denny. And I think Denny gets fired off and goes and is going to lead at least until the first caution. Could be in 5 laps. That could be in 10 laps. That could be at the stage break at 75. Or if they do something weird on strategy and come in and pit early, the strategies are going to be wild tomorrow. And it's going to throw everything for loops, which means it takes the dominator piece even more out of it because of all the different wild stages or different strategies that will end up getting played. Because guess what? These guys don't care about place differential. They want to win. That's it. They want to make the third stage and they want to win the race. There are no points on the table. There is no Draftkings in their minds. There is none of that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go in the record books other than an all-star race. It's not a points race. They don't care. They want to win, which is great for us because everybody wants to go win. They want to get as far up to the front as they can possibly get. As far as place differential guys that are locked into the show that are cheaper than Blaney, Larson, and Elliott, and Reddick, $9,500. I like the Carson Hocevar starting in 24th. Briscoe maybe in 16th, but I don't know if it's enough, and it's $8,700. I mean, I'm looking for the cheapo option that I can lock in that's going to be guaranteed to make the show that could actually make something happen. Bush is starting too far up. Joe Logano's 8,000. Bubba Wallace is starting. Austin Cindric at 67, starting in 10th. I just don't think there's enough place differential starting in 10th. I think starting 10th, finishing 10th doesn't give you much. Oh, yeah, Oh, good God. What did they do? Good Lord. They have just annihilated each other. You are right, Stanley. I completely missed. Good God. Did they take a knife fight out there? That's unreal. All right, so the guys that are not in that I think stand the best chance of getting in. Busher. I think Bowman probably. So who do I think gets in? I think it's probably Bowman, but I don't think he is good for DraftKings. Eric Jones stands a pretty good chance of getting in, but's not good for DraftKings. I think Noah gets the fan vote, but that's not good for DraftKings. That's 3 of the 7 spots. So there's 4 more left. Who else can wheel their way in? You think Bowman wins the fan vote? Interesting. Okay. I would have thought Gregson, Zilich, Suarez, because Suarez has his amigos, and then potentially Busher, or then potentially Bowman. But you could be right because Bowman has had the struggles so far this year. Did they finally call the match? Or is it finally just to the end? Yeah, that one guy right there, he is just a bloody mess. Good. There's so much. All right. But I mean, Zilich has got a pretty decent fan base at this point. But I think you're right. But even if Bowman does, like I said, Bowman gets in, I still not that interested in him. Oh, they called it? Okay. Yeah, they needed to. That one guy wasn't gonna have any blood left if they continued. The 5 guys that I just don't think, even if they do happen to make it, I don't think they move up or improve any. I mean, Todd Gillen and Riley Herbst could potentially race their way in, but I don't think they do. Just honest opinion based on their averages and their practice speeds. I think Eric Jones, Noah Gregson could easily race their way in. Other drivers, I think Busher races his way in. I think Bowman races his way in. I think Suarez can make its way in. So that's 3. Eric Jones, Noah Gregson, that's 5. You then have, I think Priest can race his way in. That's 6. So the question is it Stenhouse Jr.? Is it John Hunter Nemechek? Is it Zane Smith? Or the guys that I don't particularly want to take, a Ty Dillon, a Riley Herbst, or Todd Gillen. Yeah, I mean, I like all these guys up here in this quadrant except for Michael McDowell. I think these guys could, because of their starting spot, could easily race their way in. Priest and Zilich. Priest could, I think, easily race his way in. Zane has a decent shot at it. I don't like his practice speeds. Zilich practice speeds were really good. This is the quadrant right here that is a really, really tight battle. And I only feel like 1 or 2 get in. I think Priest might be at least the 1. The second could be Zilich, could be Zane Smith, could be, yeah. But if any of these guys end up making it, Hunter Nemechek, Stenhouse, or AJ, they only got to move up a couple of spots. All right. Which one of the 2 bloody messes end up winning this thing? It's probably the guy on the left with the beard. That's my guess. I finished second in the $25 on DraftKings, thanks to Zane Smith. For the guy I thought would win. I finished second in the $25 DraftKings, thanks to Zane Smith. Which race are we talking about? So yeah, I think the top 3 in this quadrant can easily make it. Busher, Bowman, Suarez. That's 3. I think Eric Jones and Noah Gragson could easily get up there because they qualified there. That's 5. 2 more spots left. I think it's Priest and Zilich first, Zane second, Stenhouse third. In that order. And then you've got these weird variables out here that if we have crashes and accidents and pit road penalties and everything else where Gilliland and Herbst could get in. So the question is, who can you fit in with a Daniel Suarez at 6,200? I think that's where you might want to start if you think Daniel makes it in. Start building with your lineup there. Don't start at the top. Start at the bottom. Start with a Daniel Suarez. Then you go to a Priest at 2,600 or at 7,100. And then here, we can build one real quick. Let's see what it looks like. Start from the bottom up. You get logged in. All right. All right, we start from the bottom up. We go, what did I say? Priest, I said Suarez, right? And then we said Priest. Oh, Talladega? Yeah. And then I said Hocevar. So 29,900. That leaves you Elliott, Blaney, and then $8,800 left. That leaves you a Busher. The problem is that's still 3 drivers to get in. And that gives you nobody dominating at all. It's all place differential, which I don't necessarily mind. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around a Dover with no drivers making a dominator spot. But because we're going to invert the field, it makes sense. But when you look at the last 4 races at Dover, every one of them have had dominators. Well, except for 2022, which, like I said, was the first year of the next gen car there. Yeah. So that's where we're at. At least that's where I think it's going to be. I mean, this thing could turn to be just an absolute S show tomorrow. You think there's going to be a lot of duplicates? I mean, yeah. Every time I think that that's a possibility, I mean, Talladega, I thought there'd be a lot of duplicates, and there weren't. There really weren't. There were more duplicates last week for Watkins Glen. There were a ton of duplicates for Texas. And Talladega actually was all spread out. It was all over the place. And I'm not sure anybody had the optimal lineup. That lineup I just made, you have? Yeah. I mean, but the problem is all it takes is one of those drivers not making it, and that lineup's crap. It's not worth it. I mean, it's still worth it to do it because, I mean, I build lineups all the time that I go, this probably isn't going to do anything. But if it does, I'm going to be one of, I mean, there might be 3 other people that have a lineup like this, and they've got to be put into the same contest I'm in. They're that kind of crazy. I mean, and that's where you have to be with large field tournaments. That's how you win. So, well, I appreciate everyone staying up late, 11:30 on the East Coast. We got the Rousey Corrado fight coming up. I'll let everybody get to that. We got about 12 and a half hours to build lineups. You have lots of time to build lineups. Not a whole lot, but a lot of time. The nice thing is we'll be done with this race by, I don't know, 4:30 tomorrow. we'll get most of our Saturday afternoon and evening, or Sunday evening, to cook dinner, go do laundry, cut grass, relax, whatever you do. But good luck to everybody, and we'll see everyone next Saturday for the Coke 600 breakdown. A long race. It's a long week. It'll be fun. I'll be on after the Xfinity race, whatever time that happens to be. I haven't looked to see what the start time of the Xfinity race is, or the O'Reilly race. I mean, I can't remember if it's late Saturday afternoon or if it's a Saturday night race. God, I hope it's not a Saturday night race. If that's the case, I may be on Sunday morning. Where is the O'Reilly schedule? Charlotte. It's a 5:00 start. 6, 7. Yep. I'll be on shortly after the O'Reilly race, as long as there's no weather delays in that race. But we'll see everybody then. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Make sure you join the Discord. It's in the thing down below. Just remember, in the Discord, we're still building. It's taking a little bit of time, but bear with me. I'll be in the Discord tomorrow during the race, texting about the race and making notes and stuff like that. So feel free to join in and say hello. All right. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Gentlemen, start your engines. 40 cars coming to life.
Can you still take the field?
Yep.
Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here.
Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so got to be around the end to do that.
Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Go have some fun. Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker five, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a week.